this show actually was started mostly with the space itself, and it's really interesting because in the year we organized to have the show in May, the space has evolved. So when I came in the first time, this room here was open, it was part of the gallery, and since January that part has been rented as a studio space. So I lost that room, but anyway, and then this over there was a door, and that has been closed, and there was a wall here, and that has been broken down. So I really like the fact that that happened actually. A bit of frustration here and there, but in the same time it was really inspiring because I was working for this show, for this space, and because this show is about color and space and movement, it really allowed me to really move in the space and create with it as it moved. So that's one thing. And so the entrance blue piece were actually meant, this room was supposed to be all blue, right? And the light is very water-like, actually, has this quality, right? So that's one thing that I wanted to, I think that was the beginning of the process. And then from the last show, actually, one of the pieces over there is a piece that I didn't have time to finish for the show a year and a half ago at the collective, and surely, certainly, it started because I don't cut off things. I keep doing things, you know, and there is a continuity. So in fact, I finished eventually that piece, and it was a lot of struggle actually. And then came on the blue piece here. I've been, in the last while, I've been using my clay a bit differently. I've worked a lot of tearing of the clay, so maybe a bit, I think, I went from a very, very sharp edges, sanded edge with a very pure line to something torn, and now going deeper into the cut. So a lot of those pieces are also have those like edges that are a whole world in themselves, a whole geography, right? And from the last show as well, I've started to work more the mix of metal and ceramic, and I think the next show would be probably wool, metal and ceramic. And also I always worked with ceramic with the colors, like always strong color. Each of those pieces have about 5 layers of glaze, each of them. So 2 transparent glaze, 3 color glaze, right? And in this show, I was pretty focused on the color itself versus, you know, the color in the piece, in the contained piece. And that's also different from my previous work, is that I'm trying to just move out of the grout. I used to do a lot of mosaic, and I'm coming into moving out of that space. And I needed the container for a long time. I needed the grout to hold me down and to keep me, you know, so that I could move in that safe. I think it was probably due to that, the need for safety, where I was going to move. And I'm really expanding to, I don't need that anymore. So that's what's going on for me. And this show is very clear. Up till now, I worked a lot of pattern. I was really fascinated by the patterns and how patterns get into more pattern, and how, you know, that sort of osmosis of pattern. And this show is less pattern, again, pure color, but that sense of how everything is sort of a more general sense of the container being contained. And I mean, for example, this piece here and it's really funny. In the afternoon last weekend, someone came by and said, "It takes you out of yourself." 2 hours later, this woman came and said, "It takes you in yourself." And it's exactly that, right? It's that sense of the in and out, but the chaos and order are, they call each other. And when I was doing this piece, it was really neat. I was so aware of how I was putting those pieces that are a little universe in themselves, right? And I can get lost in, I do get lost in that, but how I fit them in space and how they create the space itself as well. So it really, I think I was fascinated by that during that show. How those, like the piece behind you is about this dance teacher that passed away. And actually I was finishing this one and I was very sure of the colors that I want. And even you were asking me about the process. I worked a lot of those pieces. It's years of leftover basically, because I don't recycle the clay. I don't re-knead it and recycle, but I don't waste any clay. I keep all those pieces. So I had boxes and boxes of, and I wanted to. And I at the beginning of this interview, I was thinking, I can't remember how that started. There's a beginning to this, and the beginning is definitely the concept of, and actually going in. Actually, first for me was going in and expand, and so that there is no in without out, right? That's for me. It's all together. And then it became all those boxes, and I thought this is perfect because I really follow what's going on. And there is I don't believe there's a mistake. I think that there's a mistake. Things happen just the way they, like I don't want it to get into a debate here on that. I'll skip that for another time. So anyway, I like to be listening what is what is going on really, and for me that was perfect. That it was so many leftover from. And it was a practical thing too. I need to get rid of some stuff, and it's just like, wow, this works. This is great, right? And I like the fact that there's a lot of pattern and also a lot of tactile. And the pieces are not straight, so there is also a dimension, a 3D aspect to it. What I wanted to say about that as well, a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, I was finishing this. And this teacher passed my dad, anyway, the dance teacher that has a lot of influence on my life, I guess, passed away. And I thought, first of all, I wanted to create something from that grieving space I was in, and I also wanted to explore the dark, actually, and the black. And so I went for it, and so those two pieces, the whole process. That's interesting. The whole process is actually weighing. Like when I was painting, I was basically weighing how much yellow, how much red, how much to really do what I want to do. Now, I didn't know exactly in the sense of, because I installed those pieces, of course, I followed my guts and followed the space. The space also dictated how I want the piece wanted to come alive, right? But it was really interesting because I weighed okay, this is how much red, how much, okay, just, oh yeah, go more into the black. And usually when I prepare for a show, there is this feeling of being pragmatized. And the last show, I was feeling that I was carrying a plate, and I was so ready to drop. It's like, okay, just like, And this one, the day after, or a couple of days after the opening, this person asked me, and I said, I felt like I was a spider. I just drop eggs all over the place. And so it's interesting when I'm making it up, right, as usual. But I'm listening, I'm thinking, oh yeah. Because the whole time I'm thinking, I weigh that, how much yellow I want, I carry that. And it makes total sense for me, and maybe not for you, but for me it makes sense. All those little eggs, all over. So that's my process, if you wish. And then, yeah, just go for the colors, go for the stirring, this. And I've been using also a lot of metal, and I wanted to, in the list, welding is somewhere pretty high, but it's not happening. Meanwhile, I'm using metal as I can, so using wire. And I just love that. I've been using wire for, I was even still in France, I was using wire. So it's been a reconnection with it in the last couple of years, and I love it. I love the dance, the flow, that has its own, how you bend. I mean, you can, but you can warm it up. There's a very tactile relationship again, and I just love to observe what's happened with it, and so that, and I really like the two together, the clay and the metal. I love the relationship, and also in this show again, I worked some smaller pieces, a lot around, like using, like just standing on the wall, but using industrial tiles with some handmade piece of ceramic, and I just love the juxtaposition of the both, like in the environment, basically, where you have a tree and and cement, and so all that sort of how they fit together. I really like that. And I played also, again, I've done a bit of working on grid, sensing with metal, and this piece, for example, here, I really, again, amuses me that I can work on a grid, that I could hang pieces of torn clay that will have a shape, I needed to fit in it, but it has a shape of its own, and then again, those regular edges, and then like so I can get in and out of the structure. I can sort of bring a structure and get out of it all the time, and then continue, and then leave it to the viewer to imagine what's next to that, where that's gonna go, and what does it want really, and so that's my and then what I like again with the wire is all this shadow, and that was actually a good thing for me to have mosaic piece or ceramic piece, let's say, that will come out of the grout. Because for that reason, I have shadow now, depending on the light. Like when it's enclosed in the grout, there is no shadow happen. But when it's on the wall, standing free, then there is something else happening as well. So voila, I think in a sort of a nutshell. And then a lot of these pieces are, again, they have. There is way they have a life of their own as well, right? You can't just even when I was, and I love that, I really like performance art. So it took me 6 days working from anything from 9 to 14 hours a day to put those things together. And it was really neat actually. I sort of jumped back and forth, but this young man came the other day and said, "Oh, it must have taken you a lot of calculation to get, to get the pieces in place." And I said, "Yeah, this is mathematics." and in fact, it's not the first time that people were asking me, and so for me it's a very, how do I'm kinesthetic, so this is how I work. I work with my physically, like I think the intelligence of the body tend to be, put second. And I want also on your video mention something that really touched me. This young woman from she studied at ExhibitVic in art, and she came and she said to me, she spent a lot of time on each piece and asked me a lot of questions. And she said to me, thank you for having butterfly. She said something like, it's such a simple shape and it means so much, and yet in art that we study at university, we're not allowed to use it. And then she got me going on a folk art. And maybe about a week before that, I had said that I'm a big lover of folk art. And this woman said to me, "Wow, you're courageous to say that." I was like, And this kid said, and I thought it was pretty an interesting comment. She said, "Yeah, in the elitist milieu of the art, people think that folk art is only for women, native and peasant." And I thought, this is what we're up against. And I think in 2000, and not that it's relevant, the date, but I'm thinking, when is it that actually it will be okay to have a free art expression that can have different medium and different, perspective. It's like a freedom of religion. When is it that we're going to have really a freedom of expression? That's my question for the next chapter. Anyway.